Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this session, to the Senior School Information session. Again, just in case, this is for grade 9 students and parents who are going into grade 10 next year. A particular warm welcome to any new students or new families who are joining us this evening. Welcome to LCC, welcome to the LCC community. I want to start just by putting our mission up, because sometimes we get a little bogged down in the minutiae of courses and what's happening. And it's important just to remember what our big picture is, what our objectives are as a school. And those are lofty objectives, but we really want to develop your child in all aspects of their development, in mind, body, and heart. And again, our vision for our school, again, lofty, again, aspirational, but we really want to be a diverse and inclusive community. We are committed to shaping a better world. So that's part of what we'll talk about, or just to be thinking about tonight as we look at what courses are on offer and what opportunities are on offer for our students as they move into grade 10. The plan for this evening, first of all, we're going to do some introductions. So I'm going to start with that now. So if anyone does not know me, my name is Mark Solkeld, and I'm the Deputy Head of School. We've got several people who are going to present. Someone who's important, and it's going to be increasingly important to your child next year, is the grade coordinator of grade 10, Mr. Doug Neal. Doug, would you mind just saying a quick hello?
Hello, everyone. I'm Doug Neal. I'll also be answering any questions in the chat with Ms. Owen. So if you have any questions, don't be shy, and look forward to working with your children next year.
And the other person who will not be speaking directly this evening, but is there to answer questions, is our Director of University Advising, of Academic Advising, Miss Kim Tulloch. Kim, can you say hi?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I, along with Mr. Neal, will monitor the chat and will be available to answer questions, although my colleague Maggie Owen will be speaking about progressions for courses. So the students have had a chance to have a bit of a preview for some of the information. So hopefully combined tonight, there'll be a lot of clarity on next steps for the students. Thank you.
So thanks, Kim. The presenters for this evening, Miss Constance McGuire will talk about academics. She's our Director of Academics. Miss Michelle Owen, our Director of Student Life, will speak. Miss Maggie Owen, sorry for the confusion. At some stage, we'll do something about their last names. Miss Maggie Owen is one of our academic advisors. She will speak this evening. And also Miss June Takacs, who's our IB MYP coordinator, will speak. We also have on the call Scott Shane, our Director of the Arts Department, and Caroline Hetu, who is our department head of language acquisition of modern languages. As Doug and Kim both alluded to, if there are questions, we have enabled the Q&A. I see a couple are already going in there. If you can please, obviously our intention is to answer the questions as we go along. So maybe give us a couple of minutes. We will try and answer those questions, either as Doug and Kim said, they may answer you directly in that Q&A function. We'll answer it out loud as it's part of the presentation, or in some cases it is possible we will not have time to get to this evening, or it requires a more in-depth answer, and someone will get back to you in the next couple of days. Okay, so that's the introductions. The plan for this evening is, first of all, we'll look at the grade 10 curriculum and the options and where that fits in the continuum of the senior school. And then we'll also just have a brief look at co-curricular life in the senior school as well. So without further ado, I will pass on to Ms. Constance McGuire, our Director of Academics.
Thank you, Mr. Salkeld. Mr. Salkeld forgot to mention my most important title here at LCC. I'm also an LCC parent. And in fact, I'm a grade 9 parent. My youngest is in grade 9 here at LCC. So I'm having many of the same conversations with her that you will be having with your child. The presentation that we're doing tonight, parents and students are both welcome to it, but as Ms. Tulloch alluded to, the students have already heard a lot of the material in this presentation. They have guidance sessions during advisory, and if you want to have time as a parent with an advisor, you'll have the opportunity to make an appointment with them, and we'll have the information at the end of the show for a slideshow for how to contact them. The course options forms, which you will receive by email, will tell you the due date of April 1st to return to the school so that we have a sense of what your son or daughter is choosing for next year. I want to take a moment just to hone in on the picture on this slide that introduces academics, because it's a throwback to what school used to look like. And it's hopefully a harbinger of what school will look like. Students sitting relatively close together, happy and engaged in this math lesson, not wearing masks. And so while this year has been pretty much a wild ride in terms of, how school has looked, we are hopeful that at some point we will get back to what it's looking like there. So if you can continue the next slide, Mr. Salkeld. I want to talk about the required courses in grade 10, and this looks very similar to what your son or daughter has been doing in grade 9. All of our students take English, they take history, which will have a ministry exam at the end of grade 10. They take French, and I'm going to talk in a bit more detail about the levels of French. In math, Ms. Owen will talk about the different levels of math. That also has a ministry exam at the end of grade 10. She'll also talk about the pathways forward in grade 10 science, which has a ministry exam. And Mr. Shane will be here to talk a little bit about the choices that students can make in the arts among music, theater, and visual arts. Students will also still have their ethics and religious culture class and physical education. So those are what we call the required courses. You can see here the options courses. There are some choices that are in the design program. There's also study methods, which is compulsory for students who are receiving direct lead services. And then you can see there are some choices in the arts program. So I'm going to ask Mr. Shane to come on the screen to talk about those courses.
Hi, everyone. So in the arts, moving from grade 9 into grade 10, all of these 3 courses listed on the left are continuation courses. So the theater production course is a continuation from grade 9. It focuses on acting skills. The students learn how to perform in a play. It's a scripted play, and they're expected to perform for their peers. Instrumental music is again a continuation of the band program that we have at LCC. The expectation would be that in addition to learning how to play their instrument and play in a band, that they perform with the senior concert band, which rehearses Mondays after school. And of course, we haven't been doing that this year, but the plan is to start up again in September. And then visual art, which is a continuation of the art program with Ms. Hutchinson that focuses on a variety of different visual art skills and always has a component of drawing. I guess, Constance, I'll jump in as well for the devised theater and visual art. So also there's a 3-credit course that's offered from the options on the right. The visual art course, again, focuses on a variety of different skills involved in visual arts, just a little bit different than the 4-credit course on the left. Devised theater is a different course than the theater production course. Instead of focusing on traditional acting skills and a production using a script, this often revolves around more ad-libbing and collaborative work, developing their own scenes and plays and whatnot. So that's the difference between the two. Ms. McGuire?
Thank you, Mr. Shane. And one of the things you can start to see as well is that as students move into grade 10, they have more choices. So in this case, they have choices within the arts, within design, and to continue their study of Spanish if they want to do that as well. And so it's really important for students to start to be thoughtful about what they are interested in doing and what they might like to continue to do. I'm going to talk a little bit about the French continuum. And again, Madame Hatou is here to answer any questions that you might have. One of the things that I want to point out is just as we have students learning in 2 languages, French and English, we also speak 2 academic languages. We use the Mise language from the Quebec Ministry of Education, and we use the IB language. So you can see that we talk about phases, which is the MYP way of organizing language acquisition from phase 1, which is really the equivalent of our classe d'accueil, all the way up to phase 6, which is an almost native speaker. And then we are also fortunate to have students whose French is strong enough that they can study French as a language and literature course, the equivalent of what we do in our English course when students study language and literature. We've also shown you what will happen in grade 9, 10, and 11 based on what students are currently doing. And so what will happen before the end of the year, your child's current French teacher will make sure that they know what is the best place for the student going ahead into next year. And I don't want you to think that it's a matter of if you're in phases 1 and 2 this year, that you automatically go up, a level. The teacher has the conversation with the student and with the parent if they want to make sure that they are placed to be successful in the language acquisition. Everyone acquires language at a different pace. So we make sure that our students are placed at the most appropriate level for them. For students who are at the higher end of the language acquisition levels, they also have the opportunity at the end of grade 10 to take the French second language ministry exam. Normally that exam is written at the end of grade 11, but for students who are very strong, they can do it at the end of grade 10. And then at the end of grade 11, they would have the opportunity to sit the first language French exam. And we do have students who do that every year, that as a way of making sure that they are recognized for their strong level of French. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Maggie Owen, who's going to talk about our continuum in science and in math.
Thank you very much. I also just wanted to point out that some of the core courses that you saw previously for grade 10, the reason why those are really important also because the results of those are going to be used for CEGEP admissions. So I just wanted to plant that seed that students that are, when they're taking their ministry exams in grade 10, that those marks on your ministry transcript will then actually be used as part of the admissions average to CEGEP. So if you have any more questions about that, I would encourage you to reach out to your academic advisor and we can help give you more details to your personalized situation. The other thing I want to mention is that for course options, students should really only be basing that on what they are really genuinely interested in. There's really no long-term repercussion between taking an arts option, between design or between music. It really should be what the student's really passionate about. When it comes to the science continuum, students will be taking a ministry exam in the ST course. As you can see that there are 2 levels in grade 10. We have the ST and science and technology of the environment. And then we have science and just science and technology. We did want to mention that the science and technology course alone in grade 10 still meets over 9 periods. And that particular opportunity gives students that either aren't necessarily interested in continuing sciences long-term, or that might just be a better fit for them academically where they are right now. They just get a lot more time to immerse themselves into the material to really manage that final exam very well. Then we have the ST and STE option, which supports students in moving forward into courses like physics and chemistry. You can, of course, also take biology with that option, environmental systems and societies, and design and technology. Really what we want to try and communicate is where these 2 courses allow you to access courses long-term related to interest areas students might want to pursue. So if you're taking ST and STE, that would give you the prerequisites in grade 11 to qualify for health and pure and applied sciences at the CEGEP level, for example, after grade 11. It would also give you the opportunity to move forward into our grade 12 program and to pursue physics and chemistry at that level. Of course, you can do biology and the other sciences as well with that one. Whereas ST, you could continue on with ESS or design and technology, and then move on to CEGEP into something that you're really interested in outside of the sciences, or you can move on into grade 12 ESS and design in your 2nd year of IB, should you choose to pursue that program. So really what we want you to know is there's 2 options. The ST and STE option gives you access to all of the sciences moving forward. ST really gives you the opportunity to dive deep into the material and really manage that final exam if you don't want to continue long term. I think we'll leave it at that for now. So we've got the math continuum here. So there's 3 math options in grade 10, and students will take a ministry exam, which will then also count as part of your CEGEP admissions average, for example. We have CST, SN math, and the SN extended math. So the SN extended math is for students that really love math. They're really excited about it. It's at a bit of a faster pace and you cover a bit more material. Whereas the SN math is just the regular math in grade 10. You can move on to TS math and SN math in grade 11, which then allows you to access programs like commerce, if you're in SN math and TS, sciences, if you're in SN math in grade 11. And if you come to grade 12, it gives you access, if you're going SN to calculus, then gives you access to science programs if you're doing sciences, or commerce programs if you just want to continue on with your math. Now, the important thing to remember is that if you're in the CST math, for example, everyone has to take a math course in grade 10 for their high school diploma. So regardless of which level you're in, that will count towards your degree. However, if you're in CST, just keep in mind that that particular math level would not give you access to opportunities like commerce long-term or science long-term. And a lot of our students, that's fine with them. They want to go into the arts or commerce or social sciences and something unrelated. However, if you end up in the CST math level, because that's the right fit for you right now, just keep in mind that you can always bridge over the summer. So some students have taken CST in grade 10. They took TS math in the summer and then bridged into the grade 11 option so they could continue on with a field like commerce, for example, at CEGEP, or bridge again in the following summer to take calculus in grade 12. But I think the most important thing to remember is that there's 3 levels. The SN math gives you the option to move forward into areas like commerce or sciences if you're taking 2 sciences in grade 11. The CST math would not necessarily allow you to access that, but you can continue on into other areas. And the SN extended math is more of an accelerated in-depth option where you'd be participating in math competitions and be doing things on a deeper level.
Thank you, Ms. Owen. The other thing I want to point out in these 3 subjects, because there are multiple levels, it's also good for you to know that your son or daughter's teachers in those subjects will be thinking about what's the best place in terms of the level for them in grade 10. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to your child's current French teacher, current math teacher, or current science teacher. It is definitely something that they have already started thinking about and possibly having conversations with students in class. I'm now going to ask our...
Maybe if we just take a second, Ms. McGuire, because I know Ms. Tulloch and Ms. Neal have been watching the Q&A, and then there may be some question and answers that are or some questions, whether the answer may be relevant to everyone. And I know this can be a little bit confusing, so I think it may be worth just taking a little pause. And Kim, is there anything that you feel needs clarification, or is a general theme that needs answering?
Well, I think the number one thing to let parents know and remind everybody is that the information about the individual courses, like the course descriptions, will be included when we send out the course options form. So that in particular related to the choices, and that I think there was a question in terms of ST, STE, the difference. It's just that it's a more there's more depth to the topics and things, and so the students are going to have more introduction to courses to be prepared to do the chemistry and physics and biology as individual science subjects as opposed to integrated science. So just to sort of clarify that. And as I think Ms. Owen was quite clear in indicating that the ST and STE is intended for those students who want to continue on keeping those science options going. And the ST course will fulfill the science requirement for graduation, but is for students, definitely for students who are know that they're not interested in continuing on with science going forward.
If I can also point out one other thing that, as I said before, we are being mindful of using IB language. So when we talk about SN Math Extended, that is a replacement of what we used to call enriched math. And then that is also what prepares students to do the higher level in the diploma program in grade 11. So the higher level could be considered the equivalent of an enriched math course.
Okay, and I would, just before we move on, I would remind people that your child has also had this presentation, that they have access to the academic advisors and their teachers to ask questions. and that you also, and we'll give you the information of how to contact the academic advisors for personal questions as we move on.
Thanks, Mr. Salfeld. I'm going to call on Ms. Takas now, who is our IB MYP coordinator, and she's going to talk about one of the hallmarks of the MYP in grade 10.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to point out that we're all extremely proud that last year we became an authorized MYP school. And I'm going to just quickly talk about one of the requirements, and that is personal project. All students in grade 10 will complete a personal project. And although it's a requirement, it is really the best thing about MYP, where the students get to shine. So what is it? Well, the students will use their knowledge and the skills that they've acquired over the past few years to work independently on a project that is personal and significant to them. They'll receive guidance throughout the year. Just like YPI that they're doing right now, they'll be guided through their ethics class, and they'll also be assigned a supervisor who will help them through the process. That's really much the basis of what I wanted to tell you about today. The students will learn more throughout the year, starting right at the very beginning of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Takas. I will also say you should be on the lookout for a video that will showcase our current grade 10s when their personal projects are finished. That's one of the things we will do, is create a video to share it as an outcome to celebrate the students' hard work in grade 10, because it's wonderful to see the products that they come up with and their reflections on the process as well. I'm going to turn the stage over to Ms. Owen, who's going to talk about the other side of school life, our co-curriculars.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's unfortunate that we're not seeing people. It's sort of one of these, I've gotten used to these webinars, but I still do miss seeing the parents in the audience. So welcome. I hope you're all seated comfortably for tonight's session. So as has been the case this year, and I know co-curriculars have looked different this year, but it has been wonderful to see a number of students, many students taking the opportunity to partake in the virtual co-curriculars that we've had, as well as many of the athletic and arts opportunities that we've had. So as is in the case during middle school, as well as this year, although next year we do hope that things will resume back to what we would see as normal for clubs, activities, conferences, and athletic options. In grade 10, the athletic options continue to be similar to what they would have been this year, but just to give you a reminder of what would be offered, there are many team sports offered during the fall, the winter, and the spring, as well as intramural options that take place during lunch and after school. So to name a few, many of them that we are missing this year, but we'll be back next year: flag football, soccer, volleyball, hockey, tennis, swimming, badminton, track and field, cross-country running, to name a few. Moreover, students we see in grade 10 continuing to partake in yoga activities, as well as workout in the fitness center. The students, just so that people are aware, the fitness center will be reopening on an individual basis this year for students, and they have been given an email to sign up if they are interested. So for next year, they can continue in the fitness center and take advantage of setting up some individual fitness programs with our fitness coaches and guidance in the fitness center. In terms of clubs and activities, we do see that in grade 10, students tend to start to really focus in on those clubs and activities that they have participated in previous years, and they start to take on a leadership role in those clubs and activities. But we also continue to encourage students to try out debating, Model UN, and many other green team, take part in the Fab Lab if they haven't. This year we offered many activities in the evening, and we are looking at the possibility, if there is interest, of offering meetings such as Model UN or debating, for example, in the evening if there is interest. In terms of the arts, as Mr. Shane said earlier, students who are part of the music program will participate in the senior band, and they also have the opportunity to join the small ensembles and jazz band. There will be a senior school play, as well as art club and improv. So as I said, before, the grade 10 students tend to take on a leadership opportunity within these co-curricular activities and start to coach and mentor the middle school students. The Fab Lab is open to all students, and we do start to see many more grade 10 students in the Fab Lab participating and working on either their personal project or an independent project of choice, and taking part in those activities. Clubs and activities for next year will continue to take place in the morning, at lunch, as well as after school, and that schedule will come out in the fall when we return. At the beginning of this year, all students in grade 9 started the Duke of Ed program and have been working on the bronze level. We are aware that with the restrictions, they have not been able to take part in what we would see as the regular outdoor experiences. But don't worry, Miss Shadley is on it, and she is working hard and we are working hard to make sure that those opportunities for outdoor education will be available next year for students so that they can complete those Duke of Ed requirements for outdoor education. If your child has any questions about completing the bronze this year or continuing on with the silver and the gold, they should reach out to Ms. Shadley, and she will make sure that they have all of the information as well as aware of the opportunities. And in the fall, we do plan to hopefully run a number of different outdoor weekends so that the students can complete that requirement. Again, the international opportunities for senior school increase with Round Square regional conferences, international conferences, as well as March break trips for students in grade 10 and 11. This year, the international outreach came through online discussion groups, workshops, and conferences. And students have had the opportunity to engage with students from around the world. For next March break, we do hope to offer some travel opportunities for students in grade 10 and 11 within North America. But again, that will be dependent on the restrictions in place. By the following year, so when your child is in grade 11, I very much hope, and I think that we can, well, I can't make any predictions, but I do hope that we will have some international travel opportunities. And until we can travel internationally, we'll continue to work on their global awareness and interactions with students from around the world through virtual conferences, workshops, and dialogues with our Round Square community, and plan what we can. So we are all looking forward to travel internationally again, and it will happen. We just may need a little bit more time, but we will continue to engage in international opportunities with the students online.
Thank you, Ms. Owen. I know we've given you a lot of information, and I realize that you may not have had the conversation with your son or daughter yet based on what they received from the presentation that the academic advisors did with them. So let me remind you again that you will be receiving an email with a link to more detailed course descriptions, to this presentation, and then to the course options form. Even then, you still might have questions. So I mentioned about, speaking directly with the subject teacher if you're thinking about, what's the best place for your son or daughter to be in math or French or science. But we also have a wonderful academic advising team. You've heard from some of them tonight. You can see that their faces and their names up here with contact information. And even if you're not sure which one is your child's academic advisor, you can contact Ms. Gentile, who manages all of them, and she can put you in touch with the right person for any question that you might have. So starting with the classroom teacher, with an academic advisor, a department head, many of us are available to answer any specific questions that you might have. And then finally, just a reminder too of some of the other people that you've heard from. Myself as the Director of Academics, Ms. Owen as the Director of Student Life, Mr. Neal, who takes Mr. Polak's place as your child moves up to grade 10 as a grade level coordinator, Ms. Takas, our IBMYP coordinator, and then also our grade 11 and 12 DP coordinator, Ms. Curry. She's not here tonight, but if you have questions about the DP, the diploma program that starts in grade 11. Mr. Salkeld, I'm going to turn the floor back to you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McGuire. Ms. Tulloch, don't want to put you on the spot, but was there anything that was a theme in the chat that needs addressing before we close for the evening?
No, they were mostly individual questions.
Can I say, I'm going to mention one thing that I saw as a question. Somebody asked about a specific summer program. One of the things that we also do is we collect information on summer programs that are offered at other schools, which may be different subjects. We tend to only offer a math bridge course, but other schools offer many more summer courses, and we will once we have that information, we will publish it in the mailbag if you're looking for a particular opportunity for your son or daughter.
So as we come towards the end of the evening, I would like to thank you all for being here with us and listening to the presentation. As Ms. McGuire said, there is a lot of information here, but this is simply not a one-off. Your children have already had a presentation very similar to this. Our academic advisors are available and will meet with them. If you feel that you would like to meet with them, please reach out. Okay, there's a lot of people to help guide this. A reminder that the course option forms are due April 1st, and ideally they would be in by that date. If you need some more information, or if you are ready to make that choice, please make sure you discuss that with the academic advisor so that we know. We would rather have the correct option choice in maybe a day or two late than a random one in on time. So do take the time and do this properly, but do try and respect the deadline. I don't think there's anything else. Ms. McGuire, we're all good. So again, thank you all very much for being here this evening. Thank you for your time, and have a wonderful what's left of your evening. Good night.